Hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope. I'm Uche Aluku. Coming up on the program, we spotlight First Bank, the premier bank in West Africa and leader in the Nigerian banking industry with operations spanning 126 years. The Chief Executive Officer of First Bank, Dr. Adesola Adedunton, highlights the institution's impact in Nigeria through corporate social responsibility initiatives. Also on the program, the Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation for Peace, Reconciliation and Youth Development hosts a discourse on lifting Nigeria's youthful population out of poverty post-COVID-19. And the chair of the Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation, Dame Marie Fatai Williams, talks about the foundation's efforts in fostering peace and addressing other social issues. It's nice to have you back for another episode of the program. We begin with the banking sector in Nigeria, which has significant economic effects on the nation. First Bank is among the top banks in Nigeria, with a wide reach across the country and operations across Africa and beyond. First Bank has been operating for over 100 years, during which time the bank says it has been contributing immensely to Nigeria's growth and development. Take a look.
First Bank, as the name implies, is the premier bank in West Africa, established in 1894. With a 5.3 trillion naira asset base and gross earnings of 514.8 billion naira, First Bank is one of the largest in the Nigerian banking industry. Of Nigeria's 200 million population, there are only 50 million banked people, and over 17 million of them are First Bank customers, giving it the largest customer base among other banks as it pushes to improve financial inclusion. First Bank's pride is as much in its staying power as in its spread across Nigeria, with more than 800 branches in over 57,000 business outlets across all 774 local government areas of the country, and footprints across Africa and beyond. Steering First Bank is a team comprising industry leaders and seasoned bankers. Leading the team is the chairman, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, and the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Adesola Adedunton. In its 126 years of operations in Nigeria, First Bank's focus has placed emphasis on weaving its impact into the fabric of society by sustaining development-oriented services and financing numerous areas of nation building, including infrastructure, agriculture, technology, and education, among others.
Joining us on the program is the Chief Executive Officer of First Bank, Dr. Adesola Adedunton, to talk about the bank's strides and its impact in society. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on your program.
It's indeed a pleasure to have you. Let's talk about First Bank's impact in the past over 100 years. Last year, you celebrated 125 years in operation, which is a huge milestone. How has the bank remained at the forefront of banking in Nigeria?
First Bank is 126 years old this year, and one of the things that the reason why we have remained the dominant financial institution in this part of the world is the fact that for us, we put our stakeholders, customers, regulators, all our critical stakeholders, we put them right in there at the center of our business strategy. And that's why our mantra, you first, becomes extremely important. So once we are able to cater to the needs of our customers and other critical stakeholders, that has enabled us to remain very relevant. And how do you remain relevant over a century and 26 years? It's very simple. We have perfected the art of inventing and reinventing ourselves. And that is the reason why the institution will be able to go through various challenges. We've seen various cycles. We were here before amalgamation. We were here at amalgamation. We were here during the pre-colonial period. We were here at independence, civil war. So this is an institution that ingrained within the DNA of our institution is this capacity to continuously invent and reinvent ourselves. And that is what has made us very relevant. But central to that reinvention, continuous reinvention, is putting our customers and other stakeholders first. And that has defined the institution over the last 126 years. So it's an institution that we're very proud of. It's an achievement that we're proud of, and we're building to last.
When we talk of banking in Nigeria, there's still a large unbanked population. What is First Bank doing to close the gap in terms of financial inclusion?
If there's one area where this iconic institution, where we have distinguished ourselves, it's in aligning our business strategy with the need of the country for economic growth and development. And you cannot achieve economic growth and development without financial inclusion. The Central Bank of Nigeria has set a target on financial inclusion, and our institution, First Bank, we are in the forefront of working with the Central Bank and the federal government of Nigeria to address this. How are we doing this? Today, First Bank agent, Christine First Money, we have 60,000 First Money agents scattered across the nooks and crannies of this country. Indeed, as I speak here to you today, like I mentioned, we have over 60,000, and we are present, our agency banking reps, they are present in 772 local government, out of the 774 local government that makes up this federation. So we've built a distribution channel that is not comparable to what another person has. We're just in a class of our own as far as that network of agents is concerned. When you layer that on the back of the fact that we have over 700 branches, we have over 3,000 ATMs, we have taken banking to the nooks and crannies of the country, to the doorsteps of our people. So this is assisting the country to significantly promote financial inclusion and ensure that the target that the Central Bank of Nigeria has set for itself is achieved. It's something we're very proud of, and our target is to continue to build on the success of our First Money agency system.
This COVID-19 pandemic that took the world by surprise really gave the private sector an opportunity to impact society. We've seen a lot of interventions here and there aimed at working with the government to cushion the impact of the pandemic. What has First Bank done so far to address this problem?
Okay, there are two ways that we have supported the society where we operate in Nigeria. As you're also aware, we have businesses in 6 other African countries. So we're in Ghana, Guinea-Conakry, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Senegal, and Democratic Republic of Congo, in addition to our business in London. So, but in Nigeria specifically, we are a key member of the private sector coalition against COVID, Christine COVID. In fact, I, as the CEO of First Bank, I sit on the steering committee. In addition to what we are doing collectively with other key private sector players, First Bank on our own, we chose to intervene in the area of education by providing e-learning support. We are supporting Lagos State government by providing tablets to students, secondary school students in all our public schools. We started with 20,000 tablets. We are rallying support from other private sector players to come around and increase the number, because the number that is required by the Lagos State government is much higher. But over and above that, we've also said to ourselves, the university students are also at home. There are also people who are currently completing their youth service or waiting to go to youth service, who also require to pick up additional skills and capabilities. And we've gone into an alliance, into a partnership with IBM, where First Bank and IBM, we're going to train about 50,000 Nigerians, young graduates or undergraduates, with what I call the modern IT skills: coding, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, machine learning, data analysis.
These initiatives targeted towards improving education in Nigeria, which you speak about, are there deliberate attempts by the bank to drive sustainable development through educational initiatives and programs of the bank?
Absolutely, yes. We've also anchored a number of our business strategy around, especially our CSR strategy, is anchored around sustainable banking, of which we are committed to supporting the federal government and the various state governments to push the envelope in the area of attainment of the Sustainable Development Goal objectives. And education is central to virtually everything. With education, there's so many things that get done, and that's part of why we have honed in on supporting education, actively promoting education, because by supporting and promoting education, you are promoting empowerment, you are promoting poverty alleviation, you are promoting health and wellness, or more importantly, you are assisting our country to address poverty, thus promoting economic growth and development.
Where do you see banking in Nigeria in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
The banking sector in Nigeria and globally is one sector that has been significantly impacted by technology. So we've seen a number of irreversible changes. The process of moving away from brick and mortar to what I call the click and mortar has started. And I believe with COVID-19 crisis, that process is being accelerated. What does this mean? Technology will continue to play a very, very important role. Indeed, our view is technology will play a much more important role going into the future. We've always described ourselves as a financial institution that is leveraging technology, digital technology, to move the frontier of banking services. So automation, contactless banking, internet banking, those changes that you are seeing today, they will be accelerated such that in another 5 to 10 years, the role of branches in banking will become significantly diminished. So it's about technology, it's about knowledge, it's about quality of customer service, which invariably defines the customer experience. When the customer comes into contact with your brand, either by walking into your branch, on the net, on the phone, or whatever channel they are transacting with you, the quality of the experience has to be super. So that is the future of banking.
And how prepared is First Bank to embrace these changes?
We've made significant progress. During this last the lockdown, we processed significant amount of transactions. Today, if you look at the payment subsector of the banking sector in Nigeria today, our bank, we're accountable for about 20-25% of the volume of transaction that is processed, payment transaction that is processed in this country today. And that's significant. And that's reflective of the kind of investment that we have made and will continue to make. Today, we have about 10 million customers actively transacting on our USSD platform, *894#. We have more than 3.5 million customers on our First mobile platform. We are the only bank in this part of the world that has issued more than 10 million cards. Indeed, we are the second bank on the continent of Africa that has issued more than 10 million cards. So the process of digitization and enabling our customers to transact seamlessly from the comfort of their home or wherever they are has started. And like I said, First Bank, like all other key players, we will be accelerating that process as we make the journey because it's an irreversible change. And we are fully prepared. We are fully prepared.
The Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation for Peace, Reconciliation and Youth Development is drawing attention to the urgent need to equip Nigeria's youth with the required skills to harness the opportunities that abound in the digital economy post-COVID-19. Take a look.
It's a first for the Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation for Peace, Reconciliation and Youth Development, but certainly not the last. The beginning of a series of webinars bringing together great minds who are invested in critical aspects of Nigeria's development. The focus of this maiden edition is dwindling national revenue, roadmap to lifting Nigeria's youthful population out of poverty in a post-COVID digital economy.
Today is the 15th anniversary of the passing to glory of my late son.
The meeting coincides with the 15th anniversary of the death of Anthony Fatai Williams, in whose memory the foundation was established after the London bombings of 2005, known as 7/7. A minute is taken to remember the lost, including thousands lost to the COVID-19 pandemic. The chair of the Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation, Dame Marie Fatai Williams, highlights the essence of the meeting.
What you may ask is digital economy. To say it briefly, it's an economy that is based on digital computing technologies, or simply put, a web or internet economy. It has its own pros and cons, especially how it impacts a developing country like Nigeria, which has a huge population of youth and which also has a backbone of poverty.
Among attendees is the Director General of the Budget Office, Mr. Ben Akabueze, who was the guest speaker among other speakers as well as other participants.
Okay, the digital economy provides a good opportunity for Nigeria to productively engage its youth post-COVID. The government is committed to partnering with the private sector and development partners to create that conducive environment for job creation and poverty reduction. And so government has launched what we call the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, NDEPS, and the goal being to empower youth in the ICT area. And government is committing to ensuring effective implementation of these initiatives, and hopefully we will reap the demographic dividend as we do so.
The next speaker focuses on the economic impact of COVID-19 and the inevitability of technology in economic recovery.
But there is certainly a lot of room for change, improvement. We all have to pivot to a different level, especially in the government area, which we haven't necessarily seen that pivot happen yet. But I'm sure that I know there's lots of papers that have been written, but our government must pivot to this new way of governance, of working, and embrace digital technology.
And the social impact of the pandemic on low-income individuals and other social implications are covered by another speaker.
We need to channel money into development, into those social, political environment things, infrastructure that we're talking about. COVID-19 has created more poverty, has added to the poverty of people in the informal sector.
There's a question and answer segment which gives more time for in-depth discussions on the need to expedite efforts and policies to position Nigeria better to harness the opportunities inherent in the digital economy, putting into consideration the potential in the country's youthful population.
I spoke with the chair of the Anthony Fatai Williams Foundation, Dame Marie Fatai Williams, about how the foundation has been achieving its objectives over the years and contributing to societal goals. Here's what she told me.
The first few years were very prime mover years because it was hot on me then, even though it was painful. And the grace of God propelled me to do the things I tried to do. And the first thing we did in 2006 here in Lagos was like a peace forum where we had like 500 youths gathered at the Institute of International Affairs. And we had the cooperation of the then immediate past governor then of the then governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu Asiwaju, and his chief of staff then, who became a governor after Babatunde Raji Fashola, they were expecting Martin Luther King Jr. to come to Lagos, to visit Lagos. And we had been working with them on this foundation, and they said, oh, fine, if your program is happening, we will use that as a platform for this legacy speech, which is a preaching against violence, no violence. So it was a perfect thing. So we had that forum, and that legacy speech was redelivered. And at the end of the day, we charged all the youths that came to become youth ambassadors for peace in the various schools that they came from. Because at that time, we were having a lot of Niger Delta conflict and a lot of civil unrest. That was where we were 15 years ago in Nigeria, not bombings and everything. We were in Niger Delta, South-South conflict, and civil unrest, political unrest, and kidnappings, political kidnappings and killings. So these were our focus, to say, let's try and see how we can talk to them. And that was our first our first engagement. Then the second one was with selected youths, about 200 of them, from those hotspots, Niger Delta, the north, and southwest. We gathered them at the then the center in VI, and we discussed two things: the Niger Delta conflict and civil unrest. And then we broke out into breakout sessions and said, okay, you provide the solutions to this thing that is really troubling our country. And I can tell you, we have it all in a booklet and everything, which was circulated as a communique. The things they said then are still so relevant today, that unemployment, we're not fully engaged. We're not happy with the state of things in our, not that we like violence, we don't like violence. We know violence is not good. It's even destroying our own community. If we blow pipelines, we don't want to do it. But our skylines do not reflect the wealth that is coming from here. And there's another one we did was peace and the rule of law. And I remember that very clearly, because guess who was my chief guest speaker? The current vice president, but he wasn't vice president then. He was, this was in 2008, I think, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. And he talked copiously on the role of the youth, then the rule of law and peace, and that without rule of law, there can never be peace, because there was a need for it. I saw the need about harnessing youths, about making sure that we're gainfully employed, about changing the psyche and making sure that they do not get corrupted by people who will come and make them bombers, never knowing that this kind of thing would be happening in Nigeria. Because if truth be told, 15 years ago when this thing happened, I was interviewed by BBC and asked me, what do you think this can happen in your country? I said, never. I was so sure. I said, in my country, a thing like this, bombing of people and killing people, it can never happen, because we love each other too much, we are religiously tolerant with each other, and our youths cannot be used for these kinds of things. I can remember very clearly. And it's a different thing now. Suddenly, you have Chibok. Suddenly, you have Elia Shaibu, who is still in captivity. And it pains my heart personally, because I have prayed that no other, if it's the only thing I can do in my life, I beg my God to say, let no other mother go through what I have been through in the loss of my son, through this terrorist action. So I am in deep sympathy, deepest of sympathy with Elia Shaibu's family, deepest of sympathy with the Chibok family. That's why you could see that I wore a red beret at the time, and I joined the Lagos movement to walk all the way to Fashola's office at the time and protested about the Chibok girls, whatever. Not for any gain for anything, but for the passion and the fact that I know what they are suffering. You will never know except it touches you, and I pray it never touches people for them to get to know, because the pain is indescribable. It's only by the grace of God that you survive. It's only by the grace of God and by doing things that bring joy and happiness to other people. So that's been what we've done. And of course, in between all of that time, whether we are LOL or not, we reach out to the poor women and children. We reach out to the poor in whatever way we can.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. You can connect with us on social media. The addresses are showing on your screen. I'm Uche Aluku. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.